in the coffin.
How did your men lose him?
How can someone bring so much disruption to our cause? We have tried to stop him, but many lives have been claimed by his steel. He fights like no man. People say he moves like an angel of death, carrying fury on his wings. Nonsense. These are just stories. Such myths do not exist.
This man is costing us a fortune to contain.
We have to stop him, or everything we worked for will be destroyed.
How do we restrain this angel of yours? Raise an army against one man?
Nine!
There's nothing we can do now. Call for reinforcements.
Baker was a disaster.
Our soldiers cannot be everywhere.
Cannot hold up all these men at once.
Enough!
So he seeks to stop us. To claim our treasure for himself. Pure madness.
Let him try. Every angel can fall.
Why do you not join us, brother?
Is there something wrong?
Hello and welcome back to IBAM after a long time. I'm sorry it's taken me so long to get back to this. You know, things are crazy right now in the world and in my life, and you know, I guess crazy in my life isn't right. It's more fallen into a, you know, repetitive lull, I suppose. I mean, not to say that there aren't some good things happening, but, you know, day to day, week to week, a big portion of my time is working. And, you know, as much as I like aspects of my job, there are aspects that I don't. And I find that the weeks preceding this, I'd kind of been stressed, or not stressed so much. I don't know what's the word. I don't know. I don't really experience it because I haven't really experienced stress before. It's not really something I gotten used to. But shit's a little crazy in the world right now. With I mean, even if you just ignore all the political shit that's happening and all the, you know, gun violence and all of this, if you just ignore all of that and just look at the fucking weather patterns that we're having to deal with. It's fucking insane out there. I mean, from somebody who works for an airline standpoint, you know, you cannot ignore climate change if you work for an airline. Like, it's right in your face. Shit that I've been seeing over the last few years I have never seen before. Days and days and days and days and days, like weeks upon weeks stretching, where there's thunderstorms like throughout various parts of the country, like slowing things down and shutting things down, and fucking usually that's the beginning of summer and things taper off as we go through it and things get hotter and warmer. But because the Arctic shelf is collapsing, cold fronts keep fucking running through the country and fucking creating new storms. It's fucking insane out there. And what is my job? Is my job to fucking complain about this shit and tell you about how things are getting terrible? I mean, am I an entertainer? Is that what IBAM is? Are we an entertainment podcast focusing on things that entertain people? I like to think that IBAM is, I mean, it's clearly not one man singing karaoke by himself. Nobody else likes that but me. I realize it. You fucking cold-hearted bastards. Nah, I'm just kidding. I mean, you are cold-hearted, but you're not bastards. Most of you know who your parents are, and they were married at the time that you were born. Sometimes I speak my mind. And sometimes I, get really into things like my, what I like to call my woke episode, when I declared my loyalty to the feminist movement and, show myself to be, one of the more progressive males in the world, self-declared, I guess, but, I do what I can, and I go out of my way to not make other people uncomfortable. I do my best. Am I perfect? No. Am I a man who's attracted to women? Yes. So, I occasionally slip up in my, day-to-day behavior, but I don't, force anything upon anybody. I occasionally, mess up in my day-to-day behavior, vis-a-vis, glares or whatnot. But, I try to keep that shit to a minimum and, hold it back. I try to keep that shit to a minimum. We're none of us perfect. My heart's in the right place. I think we can all agree with that. But, with all the horrible things going on out there, like, what is IBAM focus on? I mean, we're not, I'm Goldbluming. I mean, we're not a political, entity, and I say we in the royal sense, obviously, because there's only, which is ridiculous, because there's only one of me. I guess Colin is tangentially a part of it, and Tim is a, maybe a attachable appendage, but for the most part, it's me. I'm the producer, I'm the editor, and I do all the stuffs. So I did have plans for this. Then shit got crazy. Summertime happened, and I just got exhausted, and it's hard to summon the enthusiasm. But I also realized that I need a creative outlet. Like, I'm playing video games as my, release, my escape from the day, which is, which is good. I mean, it works. I got Heroes of the Storm, which I still play pretty much every day. I mean, I take maybe a day or two off, but honestly, I've not gotten tired of that game. And then I've been playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, working through it. I mean, I got all the downloadable content, so like there's hours and hours of gameplay there even before you get all of the downloadable content. So it's taken me a minute to get through that, but I love Assassin's Creed, the whole series. Like, I've been a huge fan of it from the very beginning, and if I am entertainment podcast, which I pretty much am most of the time, then I talk about things that entertain me, and I focused a lot on comic books recently, and now we're gonna get into video games, and we'll talk about Assassin's Creed for a bit. And, let's see where that takes me. Let's see where that takes us. Let's see what journey we go on. Because it's a winding road with Assassin's Creed. Like, it's been tumultuous, to say the least. It started with a very, very interesting game. Like, the Ubisoft had precedence for me. Big fan of Sands of Time. Prince of Persia. Big Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, one of my favorite games of all time. Like, amazing. Amazing. I never really got around to playing the sequels. I got distracted by, other things. Not having a PlayStation 2 being the primary. But I got them for my computer and was planning to play through them and, just got distracted by other things. But Ubisoft moved on and they made a whole new series. In the spirit of Prince of Persia, like the free running, the platforming, the climbing and jumping off, and like they took it to a whole new level. And that's what Assassin's Creed was. Now, Assassin's Creed was probably... Alright, so I got me a little timeline here that I can follow, which is great. Things are about to get complicated. So, the thing about Assassin's Creed is... It's about assassins in the past that go to assassinate people, but technically that's not really what it's about. It's about the near future, alright, and the secret organization that the assassins fight against, the Templars, they have a company called Abstergo, which they're using to influence, the world, basically. And Abstergo is using an assassin's descendant to discover, ancient secrets. So there's a thing called the Animus, and this is what's central to Assassin's Creed. Though, again, central in that this is what makes it all happen, and this is what makes it a video game. But it's basically the actual games take place in whatever historical... we're going to keep going in deeper. It's going to get way more complicated, so don't worry about it if you're confused already. So the Animus is a machine that originally it let you visit your ancestors' histories. So like if you had an ancestor who was an assassin who fought in the Middle Ages, then you could enter the Animus, and the Animus would tap into your DNA, find the chain that connected to that person, and take you into the past, and you could relive that person's memories through your DNA, right? Later versions of the game, vis-a-vis Black Flag or Unity. I'm sorry, is it Unity? French Revolution. Yes, Unity. You didn't have to be connected to the specific person. The Abstergo Industries had captured a lot of assassins and recorded a lot of their memories, and they used them as entertainment, basically. So you could, from home, plug into your Animus and relive the memories of great assassins of old, which is what Black Flag was basically about, and also part of Unity. I don't know that I ever got through all of Unity. The games just go, like, on and on and on, is the thing. That's the one thing about an Assassin's Creed game that you can really count on. After the first one, like, there's always stuff to do. There's never anything that you can't do. And Unity even introduced, like, an online feature where you could play games with you could play missions with other people, and Unity's basically never ending. Like, there's never any quests that you can't really 100% that game, which is kind of a flaw, if you ask me, but I'm an idiot, so what do I know? Alright, so, the Animus lets you connect to your genetic heritage, and that's where Assassin's Creed starts. And it's actually a pretty deep game, for how shallow the other games ended up being. So you play a good deal of the time as Desmond Miles, who's being experimented on by Abstergo Industries, and they're the ones that are taking him into the past of his of Altair, who is the first protagonist of Assassin's Creed. Desmond gets a big dose of the bleeding effect, which is so called because if you spend a lot of time in the Animus, then your former life starts to quote unquote bleed into your modern life, and you start to get confused about what's real and what's the past, what's not. And I guess blending effect would probably be more apt, but whatever. Moving on. So that game, the first game, was fun, if somewhat repetitive. Basically, you went from one town to another, and France was like a 5-minute ride from Persia, and then from Persia it was like a 5-minute ride to England. Wait, we didn't cross the ocean. Who cares? And then it was something like that. It was pretty ridiculous. And each town that you went to had the same 5 missions, and each 5 missions, if you completed them, gave you different clues about how to assassinate the particular person you were supposed to assassinate. And I mean, honestly, you could just run in there and stab him in the neck and then run back out, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if you wanted to be super sneaky about it, you can. And as soon as you assassinate somebody, everything breaks down and it steps away, and they break into like a 5-minute soliloquy about why they were evil and not really evil, and you're the real person that's evil, and whatever, blah 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 blah. So the assassins, which is the actual name of the order, they're not just so-called assassins who are part of this creed unity. No, but they take the creed when they become assassins to fight the Templars. So yeah, they are assassins. Their order is called assassins, and they fight against the Templars. And the Templars are basically trying to subjugate humanity, essentially. Whereas the assassins are trying to let humanity grow its own pace. And their oath is, "The wisdom of our creed is revealed through these words. We work in the dark to serve the light. We are assassins. Nothing is true. Everything is permitted." Deep, right? Yeah. Super cool. So that's their creed. That's the Assassin's Creed. The Templars have their own thing. They have a pledge, what they call, which is uphold the principles of our order and all that for which we stand. Never share our secrets nor divulge the true nature of our work. Do so until death, whatever the cost. All right, so that's the basic world that we live in. Now remember, we're going into the past in these video games, but that's not the present. That's the past. The present is where Abstergo Industries, which is controlled by the Templars, is influencing the world, and the Assassins, which are kind of an underground force. Anyway, the point is, it's even more complicated than that. All right. So what we discover in the first game, spoiler alert. If you really, 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 really don't want me to ruin something that happened in a game that came out in 2007, which is 12 years ago, turn it off right now. Because I am going to be spoiling the next 5 or 6 Assassin's Creed games for you. So, you know, this is your warning. All right, moving on. So, Assassin's Creed, right? We discover something that we discover that we're actually searching for something that's called a piece of Eden, right? What is Eden? All right, I'm glad you asked. Turns out even more plot is needed than the shit that I just went through over the last 10 minutes, all right? So, predating human memory, all right, human history, there was a super advanced society on the ruins of which are modern history, including everything back to, let's say, pre-Hellenic periods, the Dark Ages, pre-Dark Ages, like pre-democracy in the Greek empires, like way, 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 way back, like in the dawn of man, right? Way before that, there was a super advanced society that had some sort of cataclysm befall them. And their entire species was wiped out. But they left a couple of ruins, way more than you would have thought, and a couple of ancient devices that the assassins and the Templars are aware of. And it turns out that it's not really about controlling or fighting over humanity's destiny. It's actually about finding and controlling these pieces of Eden, which are basically like WMDs, essentially. I mean, not all of them have destructive capabilities. Some of them have, you know, knowledge. Some of them have understanding. Like, but they all have some sort of, you know, otherworldly power because they're super advanced technology, like even advanced for our day and age. And you're talking about people from the, you know, the 13th, 15th century who are like using these, and it's, you know, as they say, indistinguishable from magic. So that's basically the conceit of the first game, and this first game kind of sets that up. And at the end of the game, Kristen Bell, I can't remember her actual character's name, but that's the actress who plays her, frees Desmond, and they escape, and they go off on a run, right? The next 3 games, and oh my god, I can summarize them very very easily because they're all the fucking same. Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Assassin's Creed Revelations. They all follow Ezio Auditore. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right, and if I'm not, I don't give a fuck. So yeah, Ezio, he gets 3 games that are all pretty much the same game. Really cool ending. So the game takes place in Rome during the what are they called? The Borgia regime of the Pope, the Borgia Pope. So of course there's you know, what's his face who has sex with his sister, and you know, that sort of thing, and they're all like super evil, pure evil. And it all just ends terribly for the Borgias, of course, because they're fighting against Ezio. And fucking Leonardo da Vinci shows up, and he gives you a gun in the middle of the fucking 15th century. A gun. Are you kidding me? It's ridiculous. And then there's Brotherhood, and then there's Revelations, which really, they serve nothing towards the real series. They don't advance the future plot and they don't really advance Ezio's plot very much, so I'm not going to talk about them a lot, except to say that play Assassin's Creed 2, and if you like it more than you like other games, play the other two, because they're the same game, but they just have different stuff to do, you know? But if you play Assassin's Creed 2 and you didn't like it very much, then move on. Find other things to do. Then comes Assassin's Creed 3, which I think anyone who's a fan of Assassin's Creed will agree that Assassin's Creed 3 was a weak point in the series. And that's not to be racist. There is the protagonist is a Native American character. Well, I guess technically he's half Native American, half English. The game actually starts kind of neat too. You start as this one guy who assassinates somebody with the... So the classic assassin weapon is a bracer with a knife, a spring knife hidden in the inner arm area, right? So I imagine I've got a bracer on. If you don't know what a bracer is, okay. So I've got a piece of leather or cloth, right, wrapped around my forearm. On my inner arm, which is usually not exposed to other people, so it's incognito, all right, there is a blade on a spring, right? And if I flip my wrist so that my hand goes out, right, so it's pointing outward, the spring is engaged and the blade shoots out. And then I can stab really quickly, and then if I put my hand forward again, in towards my body, the blade retracts, right? So that's the assassin's weapon of choice. So the game starts as this guy. Turns out he's not actually an assassin. He is a Templar who is... what you call it? You know what I'm talking about. He's defecting. He's defecting from the assassins, yes. And he ends up having a child with a Native American woman who has knowledge of a piece of Eden. A secret. To her people, it's like a sacred burial ground, but to him, it's, knowledge that they can use to, further their control over the world, fucking whatever. It's all bullshit. Oh my god, this plot is so complicated. And I'm at 3. There's way more games than this. Alright. So, Assassin's Creed 3 is far and away considered the worst of the Assassin's Creeds because once the actual plot gets forward, and it's revealed that you're playing not an assassin, but a Templar. Time travels forward, and then suddenly you're the Templar's child, not the Templar himself. You learn about your heritage. You become an assassin. The game introduced some interesting choices, like they have pretty sophisticated engines for playing checkers. And a game, I can't remember the name that it's called, but a game where you slide discs on a board to try and trap people and remove their discs. And I was terrible at it. Not very good. There's a great meme about it. Buy a $3,000 gaming rig to play checkers. It's hilarious. I'll show it to you. And though the greatest part of this game is they introduce the ship combat. Their ship combat engine is fucking amazing. Unfortunately, it only consists of 3 or 4 missions in this game. However, they use that in their next game to its full advantage. So again, Assassin's Creed 3, not great. This is also where the future story diverges. So it turns out that one of the people from the super old society, Minerva, has been living inside a computer and is trying to come back to life in the real world, and she's been manipulating Desmond the whole time. Like, there's this really cool scene at the end of Assassin's Creed 2 where he breaks into this ancient tomb after having defeated one of the Borgias, the eldest son. I can't remember his name right now. Lucrezia's long dead. So he breaks into the tomb, and Minerva, one of the people from Eden, she speaks through Ezio to Desmond. Like, which is really super deep. Like, Ezio doesn't understand what's going on. He's like, who is this Desmond person that you're talking to? And she apologizes. She's like, Ezio, I'm sorry, you're meaningless. And she tells Desmond where he needs to go next. That's where he ends up in Assassin's Creed 3. And he ends up inadvertently releasing Minerva into the world. Turns out that that's not a great idea because she's some kind of malevolent spirit. Doesn't really matter, though, because he ends up dying at the end of Assassin's Creed 3. And Desmond and, his whole story, it doesn't go anywhere. It's all gone. So we move on to Black Flag, Assassin's Creed 4, which is, I gotta say, it's probably my favorite one. It's the only one other than the first one that I went back and played again after I was done with it. I didn't get very far, because honestly, any Assassin's Creed game, and I'm not, like, this is, if there's any one complaint that you could make about an Assassin's Creed game, it's that they start to feel repetitive after a while. Like, you're kind of doing the same thing over and over again. Fortunately, though, they keep it live with, like, beautiful scenery, and, like, I mean, the games are fucking beautiful. And, like, yeah, so Black Flag takes place in the Caribbean. So you're floating between, like, the Bahamas and fucking Tortuga and fucking just all sorts of amazing locations. And the water is just, it's crystal blue. And you're on a pirate ship that's getting slowly more powerful. I mean, it's amazing. It's an amazing game. It's beautiful, and it's so you're not initially an assassin in this one. You become an assassin, just by virtue of the decisions that you've made. It's got some beautiful, like, moments where you flash back to a wife that you've left behind, and you initially think as you're going through the game that maybe someday you'll get back to her. But later flashbacks reveal that, she's dead and gone, and there's no going back. This is it. This is all you've got to look forward to. It's kind of irritating in that occasionally the game will break. The past part will break, and you'll become a rando at Abstergo, walking around, and you're being communicated to on a headset by some of the assassins from the earlier games called, they're basically hackers, but they're part of the assassins crew. So you're poking around trying to get information on Abstergo, but none of that really pays off in any significant way. Like, even at the end of Black Flag, like, the resolution, doesn't really... None of it really proceeds serves to move the story along. The day-to-day story. Rogue also has this problem. I mean, not Rogue. Assassin's Creed Rogue was the next one, and Rogue was actually really cool. I really enjoyed this one. This one, you're actually literally playing a Templar. You're not. You are a descendant of, you know, an assassin or whatever, but this dude, like, he was a descendant of the family of assassins that grew up from the Native American kid who was in Assassin's Creed 3. So he's like a direct descendant of them, but he straight up does not like what the assassins are doing, and he breaks from them. So it's called Assassin's Creed Rogue because basically you're a Templar the whole time. And I mean, you still run around doing the Assassin's Creed-y stuff. Like, I've just been describing the plot. I haven't described the game at all. Alright, let me just keep going. Alright, so then there's Assassin's Creed Unity. Assassin's Creed Unity is, it takes directly, it's a direct sequel from Assassin's Creed Rogue. Alright, so there are events that happen in Assassin's Creed Rogue that you yourself participate in as a player character. And then you watch them unfold in Assassin's Creed Unity a little differently. Assassin's Creed Unity takes place during the French Revolution. So it's colorful. I mean, you're in Paris. There's a gigantic, like, life-size map of Paris that you're running through. I mean, life size is, of course, you know, relative, but yeah, it looks amazing. And they introduce some new systems which they haven't, you know, really played with before, which is new. So basically every Assassin's Creed game up until this point, you've got a blade to stab people with, and you've got a crossbow to shoot people with from a distance. Or a pistol, if you know Leonardo da Vinci. Fucking weird-ass choice. In the later games, of course, you get a musket, which you can fire, and you get flintlock pistols and shit like that. But everything's kind of, you know, just trick. The coolest thing is they have this thing called a rope dart, which I love. Which probably the greatest part of Assassin's Creed 3 is they introduced this thing, and they brought it back in Black Flag, and they haven't used it since then, which is unfortunate. But it's a really cool weapon. Alright, so the trick is, you get behind somebody, right? And you fling it at them. Rope dart gets in their back or in their neck or whatever, wherever you hook them with it. You throw the rope part over a tree, and then you just boop, yank on that rope, and you just whoosh. The person that gets stabbed with the rope dart gets yanked up into the air, and then you just kind of leave them there to bleed to death. It's I'm sorry, that laugh was inappropriate. It's a cool fucking weapon. So yeah, they use those. Assassin's Creed 3 had some cool weapons. Like, you had a blowgun that had different darts. So there's the Berserker dart, where somebody just goes crazy and starts killing their other friends. There's the sleep dart, where you can put someone to sleep. And then there's the poison dart, where they just, you know, they freak out for a bit and then they die. Or no, that's the Berserker dart. I'm sorry. The Berserker dart kills the person. So Berserker dart, sleeper dart. And then there's the poison dart kills them. I'm sorry, from a distance. And yeah, I mean, there's like smoke bombs. Smoke bombs are cool in some of the earlier games. So if you're in a bad situation, throw a smoke bomb. Actually, Unity used those pretty well. It's pretty cool. Like, if you get in a tough situation, you throw a smoke bomb, you're like, dudes are suddenly confused, then you can just kind of... Normally, you gotta fight your way out, and, like, fighting in Unity, unlike some of the other games, is, like, straight up, like, fencing. Like, you have to counter moves and block moves, and then parry, and then strike. Like, you can't just strong arm your way out of there like you can with some games. You have to actually fight with finesse, which I think is interesting and very cool. But you throw a smoke bomb and then everyone's confused. You can just kind of stab your way out of there. Remember that blade I was talking about, the assassin's blade? You just put your hand forward and just kind of press it up into somebody's chest, stab them right in the heart, walk away. You know, walk again a little bit, a couple more steps, grab somebody, stab them right in the neck, puncture the jugular. You take a couple more steps, they bleed out. It's a neat... I mean, it's a neat feature. The combat in the game has always been one of my most favorite parts about it. Like, you can be overwhelmed. Like, obviously, you know, there's too many people to fight. But at the same time, if you're good with the skills that they've given you, you can escape any situation and come through with flying colors, find your way out of it. So Assassin's Creed Unity was the last game that I played. I honestly can't remember if I finished it or not. It's hard to say with Assassin's Creed games when they end. Because even if you beat the main story, there's still downloadable content. There's still, you know, quests that you never finished. There's still, you know, objects to get that you didn't get. You know, there's no... It's crazy. It's really crazy. And again, I can't... the worst part about, I think, about Assassin's Creed Unity is the Abstergo part of the story is kind of lost. Like, I can't even... I'm not entirely sure how it connects to the other games. Now, to be fair, moving forward, I have not played Syndicate, and I have not played Origins. I don't know anything about those two games. I know nothing about them. I've been playing Odyssey pretty hard. I've never... I mean, they've never been entirely concerned about maintaining the integrity of their plot lines, so neither am I. I play Assassin's Creed games because I enjoy playing them. The gameplay is really fun. I mean, it's really, 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 really fun. I mean, the free running up and down buildings, and the climbing, and the diving off buildings into haystacks, and then you fight a dude, you stab another dude, you run away from that guy, and you fucking throw down a fucking smoke bomb, and you take off, and then you sneak around, and you fucking shoot somebody in the back of the head, and everyone's confused, and you flank around to the other side. Everyone's going to the right. You flanked around to the left. You come behind and you assassinate a guy. You assassinate another guy. You fucking throw another smoke bomb and you take off. Like, shit like that. Like, super fun. Like, it's an amazing, amazing game for shit like that. And, they've just gotten better. And, I mean, Assassin's Creed 3... for all its flaws, did introduce some amazing things, like the pistols, which Black Flag kind of perfected, and Rogue picked it up, moved on with it just perfectly. Assassin's Creed Unity, I think, used it pretty well. The pistol technology, they added weapons that you hadn't seen before, like they added maces, so you could like bludgeon people. They added halberds, so you could, long-range weapons, so you could, spear people to death. Just like new ways in which to enact violence, which was awesome. They also introduced rifles, which unfortunately they didn't do properly. For some reason, they didn't have more range than pistols. They had the same range. And then you could also use them as blunt weapons. So, like, pretty disappointing. Rifles, Unity kind of fucked that part up. But everything else, they did pretty well. I'm still working on Assassin's Creed Odyssey, so I can't get, like, I can't give my full blooded support for it. What I can say is it's a lot of game, and I've been enjoying every minute of it. The entire Greek world is open to you to sail to and explore. And, it's amazing how huge it is. How massive, and how many islands and places there are to go, and people there are to visit, and quests there are to explore. It's amazing. And in this day and age, in this world that we're living, where, bad things happen, and where the people that we've elected to protect us choose to do nothing, it's nice that there are things that we can rely on. And I gotta say, as a longtime fan, Assassin's Creed is one of those. I can always go to it, and I can always get what I'm looking for. A little violence, a little something since the third one, a little sailing, which I gotta tell you, which I can't tell you how soothing it is just to watch that ship just sail up and down those waves and just travel between those islands. It's spectacular. It's a beautiful, beautiful game. And if they can be praised for anything, and they can be praised for a lot of things, but their attention to detail and the environments that they create, they're just fucking beautiful. Even just Revolutionary War era America in the third game was amazing, was beautiful, was just incredible to behold. And they just keep upping the stakes, like with every game. They just keep getting better and better. So I highly recommend that you check out any of Assassin's Creed. Only if you're a completionist, and only if you have 1,000 hours ahead of you, would I recommend going back to the first one. What I would recommend, if you want like a flavor of the old school Assassin's Creed, like the best of the best, Assassin's Creed 2 is available on PC. It's also available on, apparently it's now available on PS4 and Xbox One. So you just go to your PS Now or your Xbox Live Arcade. Moving on from there, next one I would recommend is Black Flag, Assassin's Creed 4. It's if you can get through the sequences where you're taken out of the Animus, which I agree they're jarring, but they're small in comparison to the amount of gameplay you get as the captain of the pirate ship. So, and there's amazing stuff you can do with like creating your fleet and sending it, around the world and all that sort of stuff to get various rewards. And I really like that type of stuff. From there, Rogue. If you want a different version of how the assassins operate, like if you want to look at it from the other side, I really liked Rogue. I thought it was It's a lot like Black Flag, though, too, because you're sailing a lot of the time and doing a lot of fighting on the high seas. So if you're gonna, I mean, I would do one or the other, I guess, would probably be a better choice, is do Rogue or Black Flag. You can't go wrong with either one. They're both amazing. And then if you've got PS4 or, you know, Windows, Assassin's Creed Unity, again, I just played it recently. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's recently been reviewed. I mean, recently, God knows. That must have been 4 years ago. It was reviewed by Team Coco, Clueless Gamer, Unity, as well as Assassin's Creed Origins, which I have not played. But I can't imagine it's a bad game. I haven't played, okay, to be fair, and like I complained a lot about Assassin's Creed 3. I haven't played a bad Assassin's Creed game, but there are games that I would recommend in the Assassin's Creed series, and there's games that I wouldn't. So, let me just say that. I miss IBAM. I do. And I hope you guys missed me. I don't know if you even give a shit. But I care. And I'm gonna be back. I need this creative outlet. I need this this soapbox. I need something to shout from the rooftops. I need all of it. So I really am going to try to do these more often. I let myself get carried away with my own boring-ass life. And you know what? Life is way more interesting when I'm doing this. So, fuck it. We'll be doing more IBAMs. And, I'm dragging it out. I haven't been here in a while, and now I'm back, and I don't know. I don't want to leave, but I have to, and then I have to go edit this, and it's gonna be painful because there's a lot of grinding sounds that I have to get rid of and whatnot. And now I have to go. I mean, it's gonna be painful, but I will see you again soon. I promise. I will not let it go as long as it has been, for my own sake, if not for yours. So, thanks again for revisiting IBAM. I love you guys, and I will talk to you soon.